You know what happens? The whole communication between source to network, right? How the communication happen from source to destination. There is a model which defines how the communication happens from source to destination. There is a model that we call as, anybody knows?
ISO model.
OSI.
OSI model.
International ISO means international standardization. ISO
International Organization for Standardization.
हाँ
ISO.
हाँ ISO उल्टा पढ़ते हैं, वही तो बोल रहा हूँ. इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन स्टैंडर्डाइजेशन, हाँ वही ISO है, लेकिन IOS पढ़ते हैं उसको. We read like that is different, that is not the one, that is the standardization. And this model we call
open
as
source interconnection.
OSI. This model is actually OSI, not ISO. OSI model. What we call as OSI model means open system interconnection. There is a model called as open system interconnection. OSI model, open system interconnection. There's a model. It's not a physical model. It's on the papers. It's not a physical model. Okay, in USA there's a model called as OSI model, where we can see it physically. It's on papers only. It's a reference model on the paper, right? Which defines how the communication happens from source to destination in the form of layers, 7 layers. In the form of 7 layers, the OSI model has been defined in the form of 7 layers. What are those 7 layers? Means how once you send this information, right? Once you this source communicate with this destination, right? In between there are 7 layers. There are 7 layers, right? How this source communicate with the destination? The whole communication has been subdivided in the form of layers. There are 7 layers. Generally, to identify the problems, network problems, identify the issues on the network, we can subdivide. Okay, the problem is in which layer, problem in this layer, problem is in this layer. Got it? So there are 7 layers. What are those layers? First layer, layer 1.
Application layer.
Layer 1.
Physical layer.
Physical. Layer 1 is physical layer. Then
Data link layer.
Data
Link layer.
network layer.
Network layer.
Network
layer.
Network layer.
Transport layer.
Transport layer.
Layer.
Presentation layer.
network.
Presentation
Then
layer.
Presentation layer. Application layer.
transport.
Transport. Session.
Transport. Then after that, session.
Session layer.
Session.
Then
Presentation layer.
Presentation layer.
Presentation layer.
presentation.
Then last application layer.
Application.
After
Layer
that,
7 application layer.
Application layer.
Application layer.
application. See, people who are hearing this first time, no problem. Do not feel demotivated. Okay, I don't know, many people are knowing already. Do not feel like this, right? Any topic, any word you're hearing first time, right? You can ask the question, one thing, right? You can ask the question from me. And first and foremost rule is you have to keep your mic on mute. You have to unmute your mic back. Aarti Raj.
Yes, sir, because I want to ask you a question.
But
Isn't
once
it this is
once I
actually
take the pause, then only you have to ask, right? So wait for that. Do not keep your mic unmuted because a lot of noise is being generated from your end. Okay. Yes, now you can ask.
isn't it, sir? This is in the working pattern. It's just under the 3 layers. It's not the 7 layers when we work
No.
in the actual.
All 7 layers. All 7 layers.
Okay.
It's not a working pattern. It's a reference model. It's not something that we have to use a model here. It's just a reference model. Okay, just on the papers only. Okay. So there are 7 layers: physical data link, network, transport, session, presentation, and application, right? There are several layers. So OSI model is standard model which defines how the communication happen from source to destination in the form of layers. So we define which particular part of this communication comes under the which layer, right? You can see we have defined first layer is data link layer, but the communication is happening like this. Communication is happening from application to physical. So there are two model comes, same model, application to physical, physical to application. For example, so each and every devices also we categorize based on which layer they works. For example, you want to access a website, simexpert.com. You open the browser. Browser comes under which layer?
Application layer.
Application, right? You open the browser, right? Communication is started from the browser. You want to access the facebook.com, right? Yes or no? So communication started from your browser. Browser comes under the application layer. Your browser. If you talk about what is the device and application, the file from application layer, your browser. Browser comes under the application layer. For example, you are accessing some application, but you are not able to access. That means you have to identify where is the problem. For example, problem is on browser. Browser comes under application layer. Your Outlook, you send an email using Outlook application, right? So Outlook also comes under the application layer. You want to transfer the data using FTP application. FTP application comes under the application layer. Understand? So initial device which is because communication start from application to physical, right? So that application that you are using, right, to start the communication, that comes under the application layer. Get it, mind? Understand? Yes or no? So the application, the problem is an application, problem in browser. You'll understand there's a problem in the application layer. And there's a problem on the application layer. People will understand when somebody is saying that problem in the application layer, that means problem is in a browser if they're accessing a website, problem is in an Outlook if they're sending email, problem in the FTP application that they are sending to transfer the data, that is you are using to transfer the data. Understand? So yeah, starting application that you're using, applications and application, or the application that you're using comes under the application. Understand? Clear? So application you're using protocols also. Which are the application protocol? Application protocol.
FTP, HTTPS.
HTTP, SMTP, SSH.
Right. SMTP, HTTP,
No.
HTTPS, FTP, right? These are the application protocol which works on application. Some people confuse that TCP also protocol, UDP also protocol, HTTP also protocol, right? So how come all this protocol? So there are two type protocol: transport layer, TCP and UDP is the transport layer protocol. While HTTP, HTTPS on
application
layer protocol. Get it, mind? So application layer, what are devices comes in the application? Your browser, your Outlook, your FTP application falls under the application. Understand? So you open the application before to start a communication, right? Then after the presentation is an optional step. May not all communication happen on presentation layer. In presentation layer, encryption and decryption will happen. For example, if you are using HTTPS, then it will encrypt the data, right? Hypertext transfer protocol secure. That's the reason it is recommended use HTTPS, not HTTP, because that communication, right, from source to destination. For example, I'm accessing the website simexpert.com. Get it, mind? I filled the information, my phone number, my for example, my date of birth, all debit card, credit card information. For example, I filled. Get it, mind? From your browser you have filled, and it will be only opened by simexpert.com, should be able to see, but it is through public network. Man in the middle, attacker can also see your communication and check what is the credit card, debit card number, what is your date of birth. Yes or no? Man in the middle attack. So if your data is encrypted means it will change the format of the data. right? People even hijack in between attacker, he will not be able to read what communication it is, and he will not be able to check the actual data. That we call encryption. Understand? It will encrypt the data, and while receiving end, it will decrypt the data, and you can share the actual data. So encryption and decryption. On the sender end, it will encrypt the data, and the receiver end, it will decrypt the data to see the actual data. Encryption and decryption. HTTP, no encryption and decryption. So using browser to access the website, HTTP, for example, sadar.com, HTTP do not encrypt. So this encryption, which comes on presentation, it will not happen. Right? So not all the communication will happen and will be there on the presentation layer. If encryption, decryption happen on the presentation layer. Right? Generally, browser only. In this case, encryption happen using the browser only, or SSL certificate that you will have, right? So it is being performed by the browser only presentation also. Understand? Clear? Because once you access, it will go, and again you will get back. So it will be displayed on the browser only, right? So here, the generally application, session, and presentation, same application is perform this all three. That's the reason many times all three we call as application layer, because all application, presentation, and session will be performed by the same device. Once you have something, browser only establish the communication, means session stabilization will happen through browser only. Yes or no? So session establishment, session layer means stabilizing session. Yes or no? First of all, it opens the application layer, encrypting the data, then session will be established, which comes under session layer. So encryption, decryption happen on presentation, right? If browser HTTP, encryption, decryption not happen. Neither this side nor this side, not other application side, right? Facebook application. If HTTP is there, it will encrypt and decrypt in case of web application communication, web communication, right? Session layer, after encrypting, it stabilizes session, establishes session, right? Particular communication happen on particular session only. Understand? For example, you open facebook.com. You open facebook.com in Google Chrome. After opening the facebook.com, you enter your login credentials, you will be able to log in. Now you open another tab and write facebook.com. Does it require to log in again? Same tab, it understands the same session. You already logged in on the session, right? Same communication, same changes you do, and nothing will happen on the same session only. It will generate session ID because it has already established the session with Facebook. You open the Firefox now, different application, access Facebook application, it will again ask you to log in. Once you log in, it will stabilize the different session. Get it? Understand? So that means session, it creates a session also. Once you access the browser, it will stabilize the session. That's the reason application presentation session happens generally on the, we call it application layer. All we call as under application layer, because application only will do all this activity. Understand? Then transport, right? Transport layer means which carries the information. Transport layer means how the data transfer will happen. Transport layer, right? TCP, UDP, using TCP and UDP protocol. So TCP, UDP protocol comes under the transport layer. Port number that you use, TCP, UDP port number protocols, right? Comes under the transport layer. Then communication will happen using IP address. Yes or no? For example, why? Because once you type HTTPS, start the connection on port number 403, right? Port number and transport layer comes under the transport, TCP, UDP. Network layer. So port number transfer protocol means any device which understands port number, right? TCP, UDP protocol and port number, that device will work on the transport layer. Any device understand port number and protocols, right? It will be called as transport layer device, means layer number 4. So this is layer number 1, layer number 1, layer number 2, layer number 3, layer 4, layer 5, 6, 7, right? So application, layer number 6, present has 7, layer number 6, 7, 6, 5, Transport device UDP protocol UDP TCP comes under layer number 4. Port number comes under layer number 4, right? So any device which works on the layer number 4, we call layer 4 device, such as your firewall works on layer number 4, right? Network, any device like a router comes under the network layer. Means based on the IP address, it will route the traffic. Comes under the network layer. हेलो, हाँ हाँ ऑफिस में हूँ. Sorry. So your routers, right? So any device which understand the IP address, we call a layer number 3 device. It will route the traffic, right? After that, layer number 3. Understand? Any device which understand MAC address, we call as layer number 2 device. Your switch understand, and final communication happen on the switch using the MAC address. Switch, whenever you connect with the system, right? When you connect the system with the switch, right? It will learn the MAC address. This particular system has connected this particular port of switch has what MAC address? MAC address is what? Physical address. Every device has MAC address, right? Physical address, that we call a MAC address. So switch communicate based on the MAC address. Understand? Why it is important? Why I'm telling you is because the company will use this word. Layer number 2 device, layer number 3 device, layer 4 device, layer 5 device, layer 1 device. Get it? Switch hubs comes under the repeaters, I think. Repeaters also. Switch hubs comes under the layer number 2. Understand? And physical layer,
I think repeater.
Cables, connector, and what else? Cables, connector, and what all?
Repeater and physical layer.
Cable, connectors, repeaters comes under the physical layer, right? Understand? Cable, connectors, repeaters comes under the physical layer number 1, right? While switch, hubs, bridges comes under the layer number 2. Understand? Any device which understands MAC address comes under the layer number 2. Understand? From interview perspective, many people some people may not be understanding this. The only important is interview asks what is OSI model, what are the different layers, and which device works on which layer of OSI. Just understand that whenever communication will happen, right, from source to destination, it goes through using these layers. Physical layer means from browser to your cable. When you access the browser inside the system, browser to cable, till cable to this system, then cable to again application, Facebook. Understand? Means application means your browser to cable, then cable, then again cable to your application. Facebook application under application layer, again it will decrypt session and all those stuff again will happen. Understand? That means this model will come 2 times. One time is source side, and other time is destination side. Application to physical, then physical to application layer, right? If anybody asks you, interviewer, what is OSI model, then you write what is OSI model, right? What is OSI model? OSI stand for open system interconnection. OSI stand for OSI stands for Open System Interconnection. It is a reference model. It is a reference model. It is a reference model which defines, it is a reference model which defines how the communication happens. It is a reference model which defines how the communication happens from source to destination. It is a reference model which defines how the communication happens from source to destination. Understand? It is a reference model which defines how the communication happens from source to destination in the form of 7 layers. In the form of 7 layers. Now create this model. What are those 7 layers?